Chapter 86 to 88. Shisui Uchiha fastened his forehead protector, clasped his hands together, and bowed towards the photo on the table. In the photo frame was a picture of a young couple, both with black hair and black eyes, wearing clothes embroidered with the clan's fan emblem. They were smiling brightly, looking silly and happy. "Father, Mother, I'm setting off." Shisui spoke softly, sheathed his short sword, and strapped it to his back. He had just turned 6 this year and had graduated from the Shinobi Academy. Whether within the Uchiha clan or at the academy, he was undoubtedly the top graduate of his class. Shisui is a child who possesses all the talents needed to be a shinobi. Whether as an Uchiha or a Konoha genin, he is undoubtedly a genius. This was the evaluation written by Shisui's academy teacher upon his graduation. Today was Shisui's first day meeting his guiding jonin. Although it was wartime and most genin were sent to the front lines, Konoha would give some leeway to those with potential, pairing them with strong jonin for training. Last night, Shisui was called by the clan leader and informed of this, along with the name of his new sensei. He was looking forward to meeting the teacher known as Lone Lion. After closing the door and leaving the clan compound, Shisui quickly arrived outside the village. He had received a letter from a slug last night, with the meeting place and time. All he had to do was arrive on time. Shisui arrived at the meeting point half an hour early. It was a clearing in the forest, devoid of any weeds, evidently cleaned up earlier. In the center stood a thick wooden stake wrapped with ropes, its purpose unknown. Being the first to arrive, Shisui leaned against the wooden stake to rest. Before long, a boy in a gray coat and sunglasses appeared in his field of vision. "Oh, it's Shisui." The boy had long brown hair and he wore large-toed sunglasses, giving him a mysterious look. Despite his odd appearance, his tone was unexpectedly calm and steady. "Funny how we were opponents during the graduation exam." "Muta, it's good to have you as a teammate," Shisui greeted with a smile. Muta Aburame, the only one in this year's class who could spar with Shisui, was a talented individual practicing the Aburame clan's insect control techniques. They were schoolmates, and although they spent most of their time training within their respective clans, they were closer than mere acquaintances. They chatted casually as time quickly passed. 5 minutes before the meeting time, a girl slowly approached from a distance. Both Muta and Shisui looked at her with slight curiosity. The girl had beautiful long white hair, stood taller than most of her peers, and looked a bit aloof. Never seen her around the village. Shisui and Muta thought as they watched the girl walk over and lean casually against the stake. "Ruri Mochizuki," she introduced herself, then fell silent. Shisui and Muta, not being the type to pester a girl with questions, left her alone. 5 minutes later, a puff of smoke appeared above the stake, and a fist-sized slug materialized. It spat out 2 bells and announced loudly, "The bell-grabbing competition starts now. Yuto-san will only meet those who successfully obtain a bell. Failures will be expelled from the team. He is waiting on the other side of the forest." The slug vanished, and the 2 bells fell onto the stake. What a mischievous person." Ruri shrugged, grabbed both bells, and with a powerful leap disappeared into the forest. "Eh?" Muta was taken aback. "So fast." Without further ado, he also left the clearing, pursuing her. In a burst of speed, Muta stealthily formed a hand seal, and dozens of black insects emerged from his body, scattering swiftly. "Found her! She's so fast!" Muta marveled, chasing after her guided by his insects. "Seal!" As soon as he was within range to use his technique, Muta directed his insects to attack the girl. Although Ruri could easily swat away the insects, they nonetheless slowed her down. "Hold on a second. Miss Mochizuki." Muta caught up to her. "How about giving me one of the bells?" "Sure." Ruri flicked a bell. "Come and take it." "One for each of us, isn't that fair?" "Not at all." Ruri's tone was calm. The Uchiha guy is powerful, but you... I think I can take you on. Then why did you take both? If he had come after me, I would have given them. Since you couldn't wait, I'll deal with you first. Muta's eyebrows twitched in frustration. Even though Shisui always overshadowed him at school, Muta was also a talented shinobi. Ruri's blatant disregard ignited his anger. Muta extended his fingers, and a green insect emerged from his flesh. Ruri smirked, her arm flicking to reveal sharp white bone spikes tearing through her elbow. The green insect fluttered, and the bone blade glinted coldly as they simultaneously attacked, ignoring the bells. However, neither the insect nor the bone blade reached their targets. I said... A handsome boy with short hair suddenly appeared, interposing himself between them, his ninja sword blocking Ruri's bone blade while his single Tomoe Sharingan controlled Muta with genjutsu. He was fast, but not with the direct ferocity of Yuto's lightning speed charge, nor the ethereal grace of Minato's space-time teleportation, but swift and sharp like a gust of wind. I said, "Can we sit down and talk this out?" Shisui sighed, deactivating his genjutsu and pushing away Ruri's bone blade. He rubbed his wrist, marveling at the strength and speed of the white-haired girl, and said helplessly, "Muta, Miss Mochizuki, let's head to the forest's edge together. Maybe that's the way for all three of us to pass the test." "Easy for you to say." Ruri stared at the boy. "What if he fails us all?" Muta remained silent, evidently sharing Ruri's skepticism. In Konoha, many unlucky ones failed their guiding Jonin's test every year. "It doesn't matter." Shisui laughed cheerfully, untying the bells he had snatched earlier and tossing them to the other two. "Here, you take the bells." Even at his age, Shisui understood the meaning of sacrifice. The previously tense boy and girl fell silent. Ruri toyed with the bell for a moment before suddenly giggling and tossing it back to Shisui. A true gentleman wouldn't let a lady carry the burden. With a jingle, Muta also handed the bell back to Shisui. "If our clan leader found out that I passed while you failed, especially in this manner, believe me, my fate would be worse than failing." Shisui stared blankly at the two bells in his hand, momentarily at a loss for words. Clap, clap, clap. Just then, a slow clapping sound echoed from above. Shisui looked up towards the sound. A young shinobi lounged lazily on a tree canopy, dressed in a loose white robe and black bandages. Despite his relaxed posture, there wasn't a single flaw under the scrutiny of the Sharingan. Very strong. Extremely strong, Shisui thought, and at the same time he heard Yuto's first words. "Shisui Uchiha with those eyes, how far into the future can you see? Yuto Hyuga, the lone lion of the Hyuga clan, is the most outstanding genius of the Hyuga family, a disciple of one of the three Sanin, Lady Tsunade, and also my... sensei." Shisui Uchiha sheathed his shinobi blade, his eyes slowly returning to their black color. "Yuto sensei." His tone was very respectful. The great clans had specialized people responsible for teaching etiquette. Although the Uchiha clan always had a high opinion of themselves, they often understood the rules better than shinobi from civilian backgrounds. Knowing how to face teachers and elders was a compulsory course for Uchiha boys and girls. Shisui thought for a while and then bowed his head, saying, "I'm sorry, sensei. I don't understand what you mean." Yuto looked at the boy's pure black eyes and laughed lightly. "Why did you share the bell with your teammates? If they pass and you are eliminated, many years later, when you look back at everything that happened today, will you truly feel happy from the bottom of your heart? Have you really thought through what you gain and what you might lose? Shisui, is the future where you are killed truly the best future? You are a genius, but in this era, geniuses die in unknown corners every day. Being eliminated and then sent to the battlefield, you have a high chance of dying. Because of your sacrifice, the strong die young and the weak survive. Shisui, in the moment you handed over the bell, did you see such a future in your eyes? Now, I ask you, which future does the village need? The handsome Uchiha boy was stunned, lowering his head, carefully pondering Yuto's words. Sometimes, sacrifices are meaningless. Yuto's Byakugan reflected Shisui's face. You are a very talented boy. The body flicker technique you used just now was really fast, far beyond the scope of a genin. But an excellent shinobi is one who can make the right decision in an instant, even if that decision is not understood by others. You and I, Yuto said, pointing to his own eyes with a smile, both have special eyes. What we can see should not be limited to the present. Shisui's eyes widened. Not to limit oneself to the shackles of being a mere tool, but to think about the future from a grander perspective. This was a way of thinking different from ordinary shinobi, focusing on the interests of everyone, deeply contemplating the rightness of one's actions. Shisui couldn't help but look up, gazing at his kind and gentle sensei. A feeling named admiration spread in the boy's heart. The name Lone Lion had become well known in the village over the past few months. Naturally, Shisui knew his sensei's deeds. In his heart, Yuto was an extremely outstanding shinobi. As a jonin of Konoha, he could make a name for himself on the battlefield, inflicting wounds on enemies. As a member of the Hyuga branch family, he also faithfully fulfilled his duties. A shinobi who does his actions for the family and the village is an exceptional person in Shisui's eyes. At just 6 years old, Shisui had already noticed the discord between the village and his clan. Although both sides tacitly avoided conflict during the war, through the clan's gossip, Shisui knew that an irreparable rift lay between the village and the Uchiha clan. His sensei was both an excellent jonin of the village and a loyal member of the Hyuga family. It was truly remarkable. The Uchiha boy felt that what he could learn from his sensei in the future would not be limited to just ninjutsu and taijutsu. Yuto did not favor anyone, turning to Muta Aburame, saying, "You did well. A few months ago, I performed a mission with Shibi-senpai, and the Aburame clan's secret techniques opened my eyes. Shibi-senpai is your... He is my cousin." Muta hid his mouth in the high collar of his windbreaker, maintaining his mysterious demeanor. "Yuto-sensei, compared to my cousin, I am still very immature." "You are too modest, Muta." Yuto nodded with his Byakugan. "In the vision of my Byakugan, I saw a body with great potential for controlling insects. You are excellent, not only in terms of combat power, but also because, in your rage, you realized your opponent was a fellow villager and did not use your most lethal insects. Shibi-senpai is the same. His calm thinking and self-control are impressive." Finally, Yuto jumped down from the treetop, walked in front of the white-haired girl, and stroked his chin, saying, "Ruri, long time no see. In the Senju clan's land, I was busy training and had no time to manage you. The use of your Shikotsumyaku is already very skilled. Why were you running with both bells?" Shisui and Muta looked at the two in surprise, realizing they had known each other for a long time. Moreover, Shikotsumyaku? Wasn't that the unique Kekkei Genkai of the Kaguya clan of Kirigakure? In front of outsiders, Ruri's acting was excellent. She smiled coldly and calmly said, "I wanted to try the parasitic insects and the Sharingan. I've always heard about them in the village but never experienced them firsthand. I felt it was a pity." That explanation fit her persona. Yuto laughed inwardly but frowned outwardly, saying, "Don't let the power of your Kekkei Genkai influence you. The Kaguya are warlike, but the Mochizuki might have a different future." "Yes, sensei." "By the way, Ruri, what do you think of the insect-controlling secret technique and the Sharingan? The former is very troublesome, and the latter..." The white-haired girl paused and then said a sentence only Yuto fully understood. They are indeed a pair of incredibly beautiful eyes. Yuto chuckled, gently tapping the foreheads of the three kids, and said warmly, "You three all pass. You are all excellent children. The insect-controlling secret technique, Shikotsumyaku, and the Sharingan are either hereditary techniques or unique Kekkei Genkai. Even if you went to the battlefield now, I believe you could survive and gain fame not less than mine. However, since the village has decided to form our team, it means Lord Hokage highly values you and wants to let 3 flowers grow a bit more before facing the storm. I can't interfere with your family's secret techniques and Kekkei Genkai, but I also possess the Byakugan and have slightly deviated from the clan's traditional system. In developing these techniques, I have come up with my own little tricks. I will take you on missions and try to study new things during this process." 2 boys and 1 girl stood side by side, looking up at the young shinobi. Sunlight filtered through the gaps in the leaves, casting warmth and light on the 4, linking them like chains. Like the cool night breeze when the divine tree descended on the earth 1,000 years ago, or the clear, trickling river where Hashirama and Madara met 70 years ago. At the beginning of the story, everything is so beautiful. I am your sensei and your superior, so I promise you I will never abandon you. Just like today when grabbing the bells, a 4-person team cannot lack even 1 person. I announce..." Yuto paused and then continued. "Team 9 is officially formed today." 3 months later. The cicadas buzzed, mingling with the noon sunlight, spreading through the lush forest. Behind a low shrub, a single crimson tomo slowly spun. Shisui Uchiha crouched low, his excellent dynamic vision etching everything before him into his mind. "Fast, but not as fast as me," Shisui observed his target, frowning slightly. "Killing is easy, but capturing unharmed, that's hard." He signaled to his 2 companions. 3 months together had fostered remarkable synergy among the clever boy and girl. Ruri Mochizuki and Muta Aburame quietly flanked the target, forming a perfect triangular encirclement. "Begin," Muta silently commanded. Nearly 100 tiny black insects emerged from his body, creating a disturbing buzzing noise under his control. The target's ears twitched instinctively. Seeing the aggressive swarm in the sky, it let out a howl and bolted. Swift as a thunderbolt, a flash of red light darted more than 10 meters away. "Knew your pig brain would only run forward," the girl sneered, punching the ground. A wall of pale bone pillars swiftly rose, blocking the path. Startled, the target skidded in the dirt, changing direction. But changing direction reduced its absolute speed. Shisui's single Tomoe Sharingan spun wildly. Using a high-level body flicker technique, he appeared in front of the target, arms open wide, and hugged it tightly. "Ha ha! Gotcha!" Shisui laughed heartily, his voice as cheerful as a mountain stream. A small red pig struggled in his arms for a while before giving up, snuggling into the boy's embrace with a resigned snort. "D-rank mission. Capture the runaway pet red pig unharmed. Complete, haha." "Humph." The white-haired girl walked over, twisting the pig's ear threateningly. "Tell your brothers and sisters you survived the attack of the Kaguya clan, Sharingan, and Aburame clan's secret techniques. This is the highlight of your pig life." The red pig snorted, unclear if it understood. The ninja world was full of peculiar animals. A pig faster than a bird might just comprehend human speech. "Let's go report to the client," Shisui said, leading the way with the pig in his arms. "Wait, Ruri, Shisui." Muta pointed to a bag beside a tree. "There's some wild mushrooms and other delicacies. Let's take them to the Senju clan grounds and cook lunch for our sensei before reporting the mission. Unlike the C-rank escort mission last time, there's no rush for a D-rank mission." "Ah," Ruri replied heartlessly. Let Sensei cook for himself. He's an adult. He can take care of himself. Wouldn't that be too pitiful? Muta adjusted his sunglasses. Yuto Sensei's ninja talent is inversely proportional to his cooking skills. You have a point, Shisui recalled their sensei's first meal, the infamous octopus banana miso soup. The best ninjas often blend creativity into their jutsu and cooking. Shisui had convinced himself to finish the soup by imagining it as training. Let's go. It's 11:30. If we finish cooking by 12:30, we'll have time to report the mission and grab some ramen. When Yuto and Tsunade returned from the mountains, the small tatami table was already set with steaming food. Ah, it's those kids again, Tsunade said with a smile, sitting down and calling Yuto over. Come on, your students are more considerate than mine. Yuto touched his nose and sat across from his sensei. The food was delicious, likely prepared by Muta. Despite the eerie appearance of the Aburami clan, they were excellent homemakers. As they ate, Yuto and Tsunade chatted. Yuto, how are your students? Tsunade asked. They're great kids. I arranged for them to do one C-rank mission, followed by 3 D-rank missions. Every 10 days, I take them on a B-rank or even an A-rank mission. Isn't that too challenging? They're very talented, especially Shisui. His talent surpasses mine at his age. Konoha's lone lion has a worthy successor, Tsunade teased. After a pause, she casually asked, Is Hayashi still pressuring you to return? Yes, Yuto said, his hand steady as he picked up his chopsticks. At my age, it's good to settle down. I heard that in the Warring States period, ninjas started having children at 15 or 16. Humph. Tsunade wanted to say more but couldn't find a suitable point of entry. It was a Hyuga family matter. Despite being his sensei, it wasn't her place to interfere. She focused on her meal instead. Yuto silently smiled at the blonde woman, pushing her favorite grilled fish closer to her. Recently, Yuto's life had been calm. His intelligent and understanding students, responsible and beautiful sensei, and respectful subordinates at Konoha Hospital all contributed to his smooth training and teaching. He felt like a typical, normal transmigrator, born in Konoha, training diligently, waiting for Naruto's birth to fight for peace in the ninja world. Of course, even the best days have their annoyances. Hiyashi Hyuga seemed to have gone mad over the past few months, constantly calling Yuto over to introduce him to potential brides within the clan. His arguments were irrefutable. Your parents died early. As clan leader, it's my duty to find you a partner so your bloodline and will can continue. At 14 and a half, a Hyuga youth should indeed be engaged, but engagement leads to marriage, and marriage to children. Yuto didn't hate children or marriage. He just couldn't bear the thought of his offspring being branded with a caged bird seal. The engagement matter was delayed repeatedly, with pressure from Hiyashi mounting. Yuto knew it would be hard to resist unless a major event happened or he was assigned away from the village. In any case, he didn't want his children to be born slaves. With both pleasant days and annoying problems, Yuto felt like a normal teenager this summer. After lunch, Yuto didn't return to the mountains. He still had responsibilities at Konoha Hospital and couldn't be absent all day. After bidding farewell to Tsunade, he arrived at the hospital within minutes. Yuto intended to greet his colleagues as usual and leave. But unexpectedly, a sweating Chunin doctor grabbed his hand. Captain Yuto, you're just in time. We have a batch of critically injured from the battlefield. We're overwhelmed. Could you? I can. Yuto looked at the boy being wheeled into the operating room and responded softly. The face, the age. He recognized him from the original story in his previous life. Yamato! His Hashirama cells were weak, far from enough for Yuto to complete his bloodline transformation. But Yamato was a key, an opportunity not to be missed, or a fuse that couldn't be ignored. Yuto closed his eyes, extended his hands, and allowed his subordinates to disinfect and equip him with medical gear. Then he walked into the emergency room, stepping out of the summer of Genjutsu, back into the bloody real world.